In this video, we're going to define 3 new trig functions. We are going to define cosecant, secant, and cotangent. So far, we have defined sine of an angle, cosine of an angle, and tangent of an angle. If you recall, because this is the unit circle, my radius is going to be 1. And if I drop this down to make a right triangle, and if my angle sweeps out T, this is my terminal point on the circle. We're going to label it as XY because from here to here is X. From here to here, my height is going to be Y. So if you recall, we defined the sine of an angle as the opposite over the hypotenuse. The opposite side of the angle is y, and the hypotenuse is 1. So my sine of an angle is y, the y coordinate on that terminal point on the circle. My cosine is my adjacent over my hypotenuse, which is x over 1, which is equal to x, since x is my adjacent side. And tangent is opposite over adjacent, so that's y over x. Our new functions that we're going to define, let's start with cosecant. Cosecant of an angle is abbreviated CSC, cosecant. And cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. Since sine is y, cosecant is the reciprocal of sine, which is 1 over y. Secant is abbreviated SEC, the secant of an angle. That is the reciprocal of cosine of the angle. Since cosine of the angle on a unit circle is the x coordinate, my reciprocal is going to be 1 over x. And lastly, cotangent of an angle, and it's abbreviated COT for cotangent. That is the reciprocal of tangent of the angle. Since tangent is y over x, cotangent is the reciprocal of that, which is x over y. Okay, so in this example, we are going to sweep out with an angle of t. Here's my terminal point on the unit circle. And I want to find all of my trig functions, all 6 of them, using angle t. So I want to find sine of angle t. I want to find cosine of angle t. I want to find tangent of angle t. Here's our new ones that we just learned: cosecant, secant, and cotangent. Once we get the first 3, we just use the first 3 to find the last 3 by taking reciprocals. Sine t is my y coordinate, so sine is going to be 1/2. Cosine t is my x coordinate, so that's going to be minus the square root of 3 over 2. Tangent is my y coordinate over my x coordinate, so that's going to be 1/2 over the square root of 3 over 2, and that's negative. If I multiply the top and the bottom of this complex fraction by 2, I can clear the complex fraction and make that minus 1 over the square root of 3. Now that we have the first 3, we can use those to find the last 3. Cosecant is the reciprocal of sine, so the reciprocal of 1/2 is 2. Secant is the reciprocal of cosine. So the reciprocal of cosine is minus 2 over the square root of 3. And if you would like to rationalize it, you are more than welcome to do that. The cotangent of t is the reciprocal of tangent. So that's minus the square root of 3 over 1, which we can just write as minus the square root of 3. Now, one more example. We're going to do the same thing that we just did. We're going to find all the trig functions at the angle t equals pi over 4. If I make my picture of my unit circle, here's my y-axis, Here's my x-axis, and I sweep open pi over 4, which is also equivalent to 45 degrees. If you look at your unit circle that I posted online, you'll see all those values on there. So I'm looking for this point right here to use that to find all my trig functions. This point right here on the unit circle, when I sweep open pi over 4 or 45 degrees, is the square root of 2 over 2, square root of 2 over 2. So I want to find my sine, my cosine, my tangent, my cosecant, my secant, and then my cotangent of that angle. My sine of t, that's my y coordinate at that terminal point when I sweep open pi over 4 radians, that's the square root of 2 over 2. My cosine, in this case, is the special case, is also square root of 2 over 2. That's my x coordinate. My tangent is y over x. And since y and x are both the same here, when I take y over x, I'm going to get the same thing on the top and the bottom, which we know is equivalent to 1. My cosecant is the reciprocal of sine, so I have 2 over the square root of 2 if I flip it upside down, and then you can obviously rationalize that if you would like. Secant is the reciprocal of cosine, which again is 2 over the square root of 2. And then lastly, the cotangent is the reciprocal of the tangent, so that would be 1 over 1, which is just 1.